Welcome to Sports Adda Live. I'm Paris, your host. I've got a cricket expert, Salil, with me. Hi, Salil. Very good evening.
Hey, good evening, Paras.
So, Salil, the news out in the middle is England has won the toss and elected to bowl first. A difficult pitch, a green track, India batting first. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the best thing that England could have done was put India into bat, giving them plenty of chance to go at the Indian bowlers, Indian batsmen up front. And the similar thing what they did in the last Test match. I think the first session of the first day and the first session of the fourth day, they kind of bundled up India, and they would really want to exploit that. So, all in all, I think it's a good decision by Joe Root on this kind of a track up front.
Right. So, Salil, there are two changes for both the teams. Two being for England. There is Sam Curran who misses out, and Chris Wokes comes into the team. And second is there is Lawrence who misses out, and there's Pope who comes in. Here we've got the England playing 11 with us.
Oh yeah, obviously I think they've chosen Ollie Pope above Lawrence. So obviously he was going to play, and he's in for Josh Butler, who is away, and Chris Wokes comes in for a out of form Sam Curran. We really thought he would do a lot because he really was the backbone of England's attack against India back in 2018 when he debuted. But Chris Wokes clearly has the experience, has the batting experience, has the bowling experience as well. He's a good shape swing bowler. And I think all in all, the rest of the team like Overton, Robinson, and Anderson remains the main hunting unit for England. So all in all, good changes for England, good positive changes. The top order that we see over here of Rory Burns, Hamid, and David Malan have been rewarded with their places purely because they played an excellent innings of the only time they came out bat in
Yeah.
the last match. So this team looks way stronger than what it really was in the first test. It looks, although it's still shaky, but they look like they've got a lot of problems after that last game.
Right. The original lineup that England had at the beginning of the series was very different than what we see now. And also, Moeen Ali,
True.
talking about him, entrusted with the vice captaincy, a very good potential player for England.
Oh, absolutely. I think picking a spinner to be your vice captain, it's not because you only spin the ball. I think there is a lot of thought that he puts in the cricket as well. He's a good close-in fielder. He bats when required. He bowls. He's taken a few of those Indian wickets. You saw him bowl a peach the other day. So I think all in all, from England's perspective, he's a very overall well-rounded global player. You can say he can play in any kind of conditions. Obviously, he's better on drier pitches, etc. But playing in England and being entrusted the vice captain tag is you have to be quite special for that. And I think Moeen Ali has that kind of talent.
Right. So, England, talking about England, they look very, very settled. Now, coming to India, Virat Kohli again losing the toss. That's a habit that he would want to disregard as early as possible. Now, talking about the Indian lineup, we've got KL Rahul, red hot form, missed out in the previous match, and Rohit Sharma, who is currently ranked above Virat Kohli in the Test ranking for the top 10 batsmen.
Yep. So I think pretty much Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul are the mainstay of the Indian batting so far. They've scored a lot of runs between them. Pujara and Kohli got a few runs like a look in, but that's something that's really required, and a lot is expected out of them because this Kensington Oval pitch is actually a very good batting track. Once the sun is out, there'll be a lot of runs. More than 280 runs are expected generally on an average whenever the sun is out. And Rahane seems to be the whole of the Indian batting along with Rishabh Pant. So really, the lower middle
Yeah.
order of Rahane and Rishabh Pant don't really look that promising to hold fort in case India lose those quick four wickets up top. So
Yeah.
that's really been India's thorn in the flesh from a batting perspective. While I think the choices of Shardul Thakur and Ravindra Jadeja have been there purely because their batting is much better, and that's assumed better than probably an Ashwin. So I think Virat Kohli has kept to his template of players of four fast bowlers, bringing in Umesh Yadav for an
Yeah.
injured Mohammad Shami. So that's another player that India will really miss out. purely because Shami has been the pick of the bowlers when it
Yeah,
comes to bowling in any kind of situation and any kind of session. So I think that that'll be sorely missed. But Umesh Yadav does bring the pace, does bring the experience in, and can have the odd ball bounce, which can make life difficult
right.
for the English batsmen. So that's the only hope that we can have, apart from the fact that maybe Ashwin doesn't get another look in. So we'll have to do with these 11 players. And I think what Kohli's plan would be is he's got a deeper, he's got a longer tail now. Even Umesh Yadav can bat sort of few sixes. So I think that's
Yeah,
really required with the kind of batting number three, four, and five have been doing. I mean, last 14 matches with an average of around 27 or 28. I think they're the
yeah.
second worst in in history to have that kind of a bad run. I mean, for such a class of players. So obviously, a lot is expected out of them, and I think they have all to prove in the first couple of sessions because they're really up against a very strong England bowling lineup.
Right. When we talk about James Anderson here, the way he's bowling is just top notch. He's troubled the top six Indian batsmen all the way in the series, and now there's Chris Wokes, who himself is a very good line and length bowler, who's also troubled India in the past and also scored a very crucial 100 last time when India visited England. So talking about these two together is a very challenging bowling lineup to face.
Oh, absolutely. I think Chris Wokes is in for his experience and also for the fact that he can easily replace Sam Curran, who both bats and bowls. But apart from that, I think we had James Anderson bowling those brilliant spells. I think the first session of the last match, he got 3 wickets for 8. And he got typically the Indian top order back in the dressing room within the first hour. So I think he only gets better with time. And for the kind of bowler who is like the third highest wicket taker in modern day cricket, I think you should really give it to him purely because he's very persistent. What he does not try anything different. He knows where to draw the batsman out, when to draw them towards the ball, or when to put the ball, going angling into the batsman. That's I think the kind of setups that he's done in the past is proof enough that he still has a sting, and it will obviously be a thorn in the flesh for India. But with that said, if you would have seen the kind of spell that Ollie Robinson bowled in that last 1 hour of the third test match, they'll give you that he's just another match winner, and he's shaping up to be a brilliant lower order batsman also, in case you
Yeah.
just want to hang in there. So I think his 5 wickets were absolutely brilliant, getting the batsman out easy, like Rishabh Pant knowing where the Indian batsman will falter. So he really has the guts to really bowl that kind of line, and that shows with the kind of confidence that Joe Root has in his bowlers. So all in all, I think over these past 3 days, past three test matches, the English bowling has grown in confidence, has realized that yes, although India is one of the best batting lineups in the world, we still can keep them at bay, and they're exploiting the conditions much better than what the Indian bowlers are able to exploit. So that makes a
Right.
big difference from and when a team comes out to bowl, they bowl with a lot more sting. They look like they're bowling with a pre-decided plan, and it always looks like it's working because they keep taking wickets whenever the new ball arrives. So I think that's what the fast bowlers are supposed to do, and they're doing their job brilliantly.
Right. So, Sally, when we talk about batting in England, a well left is also considered as a good shot. Now, the vows for India is that the ball, which is angling inwards, swinging outwards, is where the edge always comes into the picture, and that's what is the main key for the English attack. Now that we've discussed the fast bowling lineup, this pitch is going very spinner friendly in the last 2 days, as per the prediction, and also the weather is termed to be gloomy for the first 3 days. So there's good competition in between bat and ball.
Or absolutely, I think it's poised like a perfect England Test match, where it starts with a gloomy day, and later on towards noon you'd have some sunlight, probably towards tea. So typically, this is the English condition that needs to be cracked, and you have the Indian team who's going into bat. So never a better opportunity to play out. This will be like the first test where Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul played on the first day. So I think in a way they've really put India out, at least not maybe not in the last match, but they have the capability to do it. And followed by Pujara and Kohli, who are really hungry for runs. So in one way, we look at the teams and the numbers, and in one situation, you need to also give a look at how are we getting out. The
Yeah,
Indian batsmen, unlike the English batsmen, are stepping forward and poking at the ball,
right,
and they're trying to reach for it rather than, even though you go on the front foot, you're just waiting for the ball which is going to come between your. They're not keeping their back close to the pad, and I think that
right,
is the difference between the Indian batsman and English batsman. You saw Joe Root and Besto sit back and play those balls, so many runs towards third man, so many boundaries on
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
around the square area. That only tells you that they're waiting for the ball and not allowing the ball to do whatever it can, and just playing it so close to their legs that they would leave the ball if it's really far away. I think that's the difference between the Indian players, because one thing is there in England, you need to realize you need to play like how you played in your first 20 balls, in your 100 and 220 balls. You should also play the same way, because you
yeah,
don't know which ball is going to move and what can happen on the pitch. So it's that conservative way of cricket, or way or temperament of batting, that you need to bring to the stage here, to in order to
right.
survive, in order to make those take care of those spells where the ball is changed onto a new one, and suddenly you are looking at losing wickets like you have in the past. So I think a slight change in technique, especially for Virat Kohli, especially for Ajinkya Rahane, is definitely needed. Else they would have a similar kind of a fate, like they had in the previous test, and that wouldn't be really good for India's perspectives.
Right. When we also talk about India's batting lineup, we always talk about a Pujara. The time that he spent out in the middle looked very good for his 91. But as soon as the second new ball was taken, the whole team kind of collapsed in next to 1.5 hours to two.
Yeah, I mean that is one of those days, right, where Joe Root clearly understood that the Indian batsman can only be exploited on that pitch with a new ball, and that's exactly what happened. And that's how he got played. So you can say hats off to whatever England did by exploiting what Cheteshwar Pujara had done in the previous day, the kind of damage they negated that with getting him out without scoring a single run. So hats off to them.
Also, when we talk about the win that India had, right from then onwards, the terminology of aggression was there when India came out to bat. And as you rightly pointed out about poking at the ball, do you think we'll see a different approach from Team India as of now, of fending with the ball and let the ball come to you rather than taking the bat towards the ball?
Well, absolutely. That is what would be required, because clearly trying to fetch for the ball is only ensured that the ball is flying to the slips. So you'd really have to wait for the ball to come onto the bat. Also, assessing the pitch is a different thing altogether. I think what they would have to do is try to play by the session rather than trying and thinking about a kind of score that has been made on this ground basis the average over the years, or what does history say, how do the conditions work out. So obviously, while those are outlying factors, the factor about having the kind of talent that you possess, and how much time do you really want to make that ball older, so that the other batsman can come and really take a go at it for a good 50 overs. I think playing the first session out will be very important for the Indian batsman.
Right. Thanks a lot for all your input, Salil. Pleasure talking to you like always. Hope to catch up in the lunch break and see how the first session goes. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Paras.